All righty. All right, so thank you, Memo. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Joe. You all did set the bar a little high for me today. Hopefully, I can clear that bar. So I tell everyone, bring your expectations down just a little bit because I want to under promise and over produce. So happy Wednesday to you all. And so we're going to do this thing today. We're going to do some work so that we can win before we begin. Now, I'm going to start out by telling you, I am going to make a promise. Now, this is not a money back guarantee, but it could be because you all didn't pay anything to be here. So I promise that you will get your money's worth, but more importantly, you're going to get value from the time that we spend together. That's our most valuable asset, right? That's the one thing that we cannot replenish. That's our time. So I don't take it lightly. However, I must pause right here for a moment and acknowledge some very important people. Those are going to be any military veterans that we have in the room, any reservists, active service personnel, or first responders. It's because of you that we get to be here today. It's because of you that we get to participate in this industry and have some freedoms, right? And I think that, we talk about inside the world of real estate and lending and how uncertain things are, but just the world in general. So we don't take it lightly, the sacrifice, the commitment that you made to allow us to do this thing here. So we thank you for that. Now, I am the son of a Navy man, of a blue jacket. So there's another group of people that I must acknowledge. And that's those of you who are in here that are family members of veterans, active service, reservists, or first responders. I know firsthand that when a family member serves on deployment or on shift, that a piece of your heart goes out with them every time they leave home or they are deployed. So we don't take that lightly. So we thank you for your sacrifice and your commitment as well, and your support for those that you love. So here's what we're doing today. We are going to be like Drake. We're not going to be here for a long time, but we are going to be here for a good time. All right. And here's what we're going to look at. We're going to see how can we win before we begin? How can we increase our odds of making sure that everything we want, we really can achieve? We've heard Bobby just talk about this thing that we're in. Now, I don't know. Do we still talk about a pandemic? Do we still talk about a recession? Are those four-letter words that we're not supposed to mention? But the reality is there's something happening, right? When we look back at 2020 and 21 and 22, some things happen. Now, here's what I'm going to ask your permission. I want your permission to speak to you as family, right? I want your permission to tell you maybe those hard truths, but then also to be that uncle that gives you encouragement, right? So that when all of your parents are saying, no, it's not possible, I want to be the uncle that says, hey, you can do anything if you do the right things. And so that's what we're going to spend our time looking at and considering here today. Now, we are going to do some hard work in a little bit of time. Now, we're not going to do a lot of work, but we are going to do some hard work because the majority of the work that we're going to do is going to be right here. The majority of the work that we have to undertake is going to be mental. So I need you to get your pad, or if you're going to be taking notes on your phone, however, take some notes, because what I give you is going to be golden. It's going to be the best stuff that I've ever heard. Now, not because I'm the one saying it, because this is the stuff that has allowed me to change my life, my family's life, the lives of those people that I am interacting with daily. So I know that Memo mentioned that I'm motivational, that I'm inspirational, but I'm also evidence. So here's what I'm going to ask you all to think about today, or I want you to consider. Don't believe the promise. I want you to believe the result. Okay, and so the very first lesson in today, I want you to not believe the promise that's made to you, or don't even believe the promises that you make to others. I want you to believe the results that you see and the results that you deliver. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not delivering results right now, the public, the consumer, your family, your friends, they should not believe you. And you should not get upset if they don't believe you. So what's our job as professionals, as the best of the best? Because I believe that in this room are the elite. We are not the mediocre many. We are not part of the masses who are walking around saying, I don't know what's going on. We are part of that elite few. We are part of that upper echelon who are saying there's something going on. And while I might not understand it, I know that I can win. So this is going to be interactive. So here's what I need in the chat. The first thing I need everyone to do in the chat is just type the word win. W-I-N. Now, some of you are probably thinking win like W-H-E-N. No, just type the word win in the chat. Thank you so much, Anne Marie. And here's why, because the first thing that we have to do, I told you the hard work is going to be mental. You need to get used to winning. We need to get used to getting some victories under our belts. Now, the title of our time together is Win Before You Begin. That has two meanings. First, it means win before you do anything else. Win before you lift a finger. Win before you take on an endeavor. That's the first one. But then also as realtors, I want us thinking, how can we win 2023? And you're like, Neil, we're talking about 2023? Absolutely. Guess what? 2023 is right now. Why do I say that? In our business, how much time does it usually take for a closing to happen? If we get something under contract right now, we're making 2023 money, right? We're no longer making 2022 money. We're not adding resources to our accounts for 2022 right now. So I need us to go ahead and start doing the things to win 2023. And we're going to win 2023 in the next 24 hours, 10 days, 20 days. Right? So if we can win the next 24 hours, the next 10 days, and the next 20 days, 2023 is going to be a surefire locked in win. So these are our objectives. The first one is we want to increase our odds of winning in anything we do. Now, I don't want you thinking I'm just going to be here to get you hyped up. Yes, that's good. I want you motivated. And we're going to talk about this winning success formula. And everything I share with you is applicable. Some of the greatest, the brightest, the most successful minds in the world have shared this information with me personally. So I am just spoiled to get to hang out with some pretty cool people, to have access to them. So when I get to come and share, especially the things that have changed my life, I get excited. And that's why I have the energy that I do. So first, we're going to look at how to increase the odds of winning even before we lift a finger. Now that sounds good, but that's the hard work. That's the heavy work, right? That's what's going to require more of us than the doing. Because if you all are here, here's what I know. I know you're a doer, right? I know that you are willing to do the work. The chances are you might be doing the wrong stuff. You might be doing the right stuff, just in the wrong order, right? And if we do the right thing in the wrong order, then we're not going to get the results that we want. The second thing we want to do is how can we win if we don't know what a real win is? Some of you just need to know, well, what is real success? And so that's after we understand that we're going to prepare to win before we begin. The next thing, we're going to define what true success looks like. What is a real win in your life, in your business, in your health, in your relationships? Some of us have never paused long enough to say, I really did win this. Or how do I know if I win or not? And then the last part, as we're going through this, and that's why I want you taking notes, you're going to have an action plan of things to do next 24 hours, next 10 days, next 20 days. If you win 20 days right now, you can still win 2022, and thus in doing so, you will have won 2023. Now, the hard work is because it's in our minds, right? Now, here's what I need Memo and anyone who is like Memo to do. I need you all to put any doubt, any cynicism, just put it on pause for about 30 minutes, right? If you would just put it on pause. Okay, so Memo gave us a thumbs up, right? And so if you would put any of that stuff on pause for just a few minutes, then we're going to win. All right, here is the very first step. And you all are going to say, Neil, this is why I'm here. Yes, this is why. The first step is you have to believe that winning is possible. Do you believe that you can win? Do you believe that in any endeavor that you're going after, that you can win, or that a win is possible? And here's what I mean. Now, I did go a little too far. I want you to believe that winning is possible. Don't even think that you can win yet. And so when I say believe that winning is possible, let's talk real estate. Can you find someone that has done what you want to do? Has someone else been successful? Can you look over the horizon and say, wait, Bobby has done that. Alex, he's achieved that. And so here's what I believe. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Bobby and Alex. What I am saying is that if they can do it, I can do it too. Right? I think that too many times we look at others and compare, compete, and bring them down instead of saying, man, I think that's inspirational, right? Because here's what we often do as realtors, as individuals, as human beings. We'll look at someone and we'll say, man, he's not even that smart. She's not even that pretty. Instead of saying, if he did that and he isn't that smart, what could I do? Right? And so that's going to be the first thing that we want to ask ourselves. We want to say, has someone else done what I want to do? And if we can find anyone, now maybe what you're trying is something brand new. Maybe your win, your success is something that is uncharted. Well, all we have to do is, has anyone ever done something that was considered impossible? And that answer is going to be, of course, as Jim Rohn would say. Right? So identify someone who has done what you want to do. That's the first way to win. Because I know that if I don't believe that a win is possible, then what do? We fall back. If we don't believe that we can win in this marketplace, guess what? We aren't making calls. We aren't having our face-to-face contacts. We aren't prospecting. We aren't marketing. Why? Because if I can't win, if no one is winning in this industry, what makes me so special that I think I could? Right? So here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Find someone that's winning. If you don't know someone that's winning, reach out to Memo. Right? I'm sure he's going to say, what do you mean no one's winning? We have agents doing this. We have agents doing this. I have a friend. Let's go on social. And instead of spending all of our time TikToking and dancing, what if we look for some inspiration right there? What if we identify someone who can be encouragement to us? And after we believe that winning is possible, I need you to, your future, your loved ones, your business, your bank account needs you to believe that you are a winner capable of winning. Right? I don't think that many of us believe that we can sell buyers with a 6.5% mortgage interest rate right now. I don't believe that many of us can sell sellers on doing a price reduction, repositioning their property. I don't believe that many of us believe that we can win with our health or with the relationships that we have. So there's already self-sabotage. There is this fantastic book that the title is What to Say When You're Speaking to Yourself. What to say when you're speaking to yourself. And so I would ask you, are you calling yourself a winner? When you wake up in the morning, are you saying, man, today's a great day to win and I am capable? Or are you saying, it's more of the same? Now, I'm not going to get all in your business. I just know that as someone who's been wildly successful in many things, I still wake up and feel like, I don't know if I feel like doing it today. I don't know if I can win. So here's how we look at ourselves and consider or say, man, I'm a winner capable of winning even before I begin. Now, don't forget, we haven't even done any work yet. We haven't started, going out and making phone calls. We haven't started prospecting or advertising properties. We haven't gone on marketing consultations or listing appointments or written offers. No, right now, all of this stuff is taking place right here. So we want to look at some of our previous victories. Where have you been successful? Do you even think about what you did last week, last month? The fact that you're here and that you made it through 20 and 21, that's a win. So I have this awful habit of just checking and celebrating all of my wins. Now, I'm not going out throwing parties, but what I am saying is, man, Neil, you're a bad man because you did X. So when was the last time you celebrated or you looked at your previous victories? Have you looked at today's Wednesday? Have you had a win on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? Have you had a win, a victory today? Now, I'm going to say some of us might need to have a small win. The whole idea of make your bed in the morning. Let that be your first victory. For some of us on here, for those elite few, making our bed isn't enough. Maybe your first win is, I got up this morning and exercised. Now, here's what I know my coaches, my mentors have shared with me. Oftentimes, our first win of the day needs to happen before 7:30 a.m., right? I need your first win to happen before 7:30. And the reason we need to do that is most of us think about what you've already experienced by 8 o'clock in the morning. If you're a parent, a significant other, if you are a business owner like we are, by 8 o'clock in the morning, we've been slammed with challenge. We've been met with opposition somehow. If we have not experienced our first win, and the first thing that's staring at us in our face is an inbox full of complaints or requests from other people to do what they want when they want us to do it, right? Maybe the first thing that's staring you in your face is a kid that you have to fight to get to school in the morning, and you haven't had that first win. Now, if your day starts at 7:30, I need you to have your win by 6:30. So the whole idea is to experience a win an hour before the world meets you, right? To be on the offensive. So an hour before you start your day. Now, when I say start your day, I'm talking about anything that is going to be draining of you. Okay, so I love kids, I love my wife, but guess what? They are draining, right? I love the industry that we're in, but they can seep energy, they can sap energy from me. So when will you start building this success routine that we're going to get to in a moment to win before we begin? Because remember, any endeavor, how can we win 2023 before we start? But also, how can you win your day before your day begins? That's what this is about. If I can help you win your day, your week, your 10 days, 20 days, 90 days, 180, guess what? The end is a foregone conclusion. So now that we believe that we can win ourselves, we've looked at previous victories, we have to get positive inputs. So I'm going to ask you, what positive inputs are you having? Now, I'm going to encourage you all, don't call Memo before 8:30 asking him to give you his positive inputs, right? It's not going to happen. You're going to have to go outside of him because he needs his, right? He might bring all of those challenges. He might be one of those obstacles that you might have to overcome. But what positive inputs are you getting in early in the morning? Are we listening to the right things? Are we reading? Are we watching? Are we watching podcasts? Are we using YouTube to get info? Are you all going into the back office of London Foster so you can look at the trainings? Well, Neil, I don't have time for that. Why not? Memo mentioned the quality and the caliber of instructors and speakers and guests that they have coming here to just pour out a wealth of information, wealth of knowledge. Have you gone back and looked at it? Well, Neil, I don't have time. What if that was part of your win before 7:30? You went in, spent 15 minutes. Maybe you don't watch the whole thing, but maybe Joe has came in and he's talked just a little bit about some things that might help position you. Maybe it's nothing about business, but you need to go in and spiritually you need to be filled. Right? Maybe you need to go in and watch something and just see what a positive relationship between partners looks like. So any of that, we want to make sure that we're getting those positive inputs. So believe that winning is possible is first. Believe that you're capable of winning is second. And then here's the hard thing. Number 3, define what a win is for you. Do you know what your success looks like? Because here's what I know. I know as realtors, we're told, if we aren't making $100,000 a year, 6 figures, we're losers, right? If we aren't driving X amount, we're losers. If our kids don't make it into the charter school and then get scholarships, we're losers. If you aren't taking trips to foreign places and posting it on IG in the reels, we're losers. Well, what if you don't care about any of that stuff? Or maybe you believe that's what success, what the definition of success is, but that's someone else's definition. So I want to ask you this morning, have you ever defined success for you? Do you know what you want out of life? One of my mentors before he passed, Jim Rohn, he encouraged me to make a list of 50 things that I want out of life. Right? Have you all ever made a list of 50 things? Now I'm like 50 things. Come on, that's easy, right? I got to about 27 and I started getting stuck, right? So here's what I'm going to. So now remember, application. This is not good unless we apply what we're hearing. So today, now I'm not going to say today because some of us might be going to the Miami holiday party, right? Okay, but how about this? Before the end of the week, would you make a list of 50 things? right? Because maybe in your list of 50 things, maybe you don't have travel or a huge house. Maybe what's more important for you is your health. Maybe the relationships, maybe rekindling some excitement in your life, right? So that you can have an abundance mindset. Maybe it's just finally cleaning your house so that it looks decent, or washing your car. What are 50 things that you really want out of life? Right? Because here's what I fell victim to. I fell victim to believing that I had to be a top producer making X amount of money. This volume of sales was the way that I defined success. But then I started looking. I said, man, you know what my success is? 4 pillars: excellence, service, leadership, and growth. My definition of success, I'll share it with you. So here's what my definition of success: doing what I want, when I want, with who I want, for as long as I want to. That's how I define success. Am I doing what I want, when I want, with who I want, for as long as I want to? If I'm doing that, my life is a success. And then we can look at the different circles. Have you ever said, this definition of success: producer, husband, wife, significant other, parent, that's nothing that I've wanted. My coach, he always tells me, unfortunately, many of us aren't living a life, or the script for our lives, this movie that we're living. So someone has written the script and they've never gotten our input on it, right? So many of us right now are living lives. We're chasing this thing and we've had no say in it. So I do believe that if you are an entrepreneurial spirit, if you're here, you finally said, somewhat, I want to have a say in what my life is. I want to be able to write this narrative and to enjoy this thing called life. And part of that is defining success. What do you want said of you when you're no longer here? What are you chasing after? What is your worthy pursuit? Now, I believe my inputs, we agree that there are about 5 circles for life, right? So when I say 50 things you want out of life, they're going to typically be in 5 different circles. We've got family, spiritual, business, financial, personal. That's family, spiritual, business, financial, personal. Now, you might have some in family, you might have 10 in family, you might have 1 in family, but family, spiritual, business, financial, and personal. Now, I'm going to ask you in life, in your day-to-day, have you prepared, have you set yourself up to win in business? That's the first place we go, right? But what about the spiritual and the financial? They're not the same. What about the personal? We hear all of the time, what good would all the money in the world do you if you don't have health? What good would having the yacht or the jet do you if you don't have the people that you love and care about? So those 5 circles: family, spiritual, business, financial, and personal. We want to have I'm not going to say balanced. We just want to be intentional when we're thinking about how can we win in those areas, right? So believe that winning is possible. Believe that you're capable of winning, and then define what success, what a win is for you. Now, here's the next step in the formula, right? In this process, in this action plan. And this might be the most uncomfortable. So this is going to be the one where we want help. All right. Is to do perform a U assessment, a YOU assessment. When was the last time you really did a U assessment? When was the last time Stefano or Daisy or Serge came and said, it's time for me to do a U assessment? And here's what that is. Who are you? Do you really know who you are? Because before we can win, we have to know what we're working with, right? We have to come in and say, ooh, I want to win in this area, but here's who I am. This is the whole idea of the GPS, right? So many times we think about the destination and we never consider the starting point, right? Have you considered what you're starting with? And so here's what I'm going to pose to you, right? What do you already have to work with? Because we just finished coming with those 50 things that we want, and 50 is key. Why? Because we're going to find out what you really, really want. I mean, I can probably tell you right now what the first 10 are. Right? And we want to be specific. Now, we're not going to go into it here, but we want to use those SMART like specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Hopefully everyone is familiar with that. If not, I know that you all can get that info. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. But this is what we want to do when we do that you assessment. What do you already have? What are your skills and talents? Right? So if we're in this market right now and we're seeing things get kind of funky and people don't understand, maybe you have a skill and talent for breaking down, looking at numbers. Maybe you could take the market stats and the data and compress it or deliver it in a way that is understandable for even the layperson. Maybe that's not your skill, but maybe you're just a people person. Maybe you can relieve some of the tension and the stress from your buyers and sellers. Right. One of the great things to do here is when I say we want to get help, talk to those people that know you best. Talk to your significant other. Talk to those people that you see daily or that you interact with. Talk to those closest to you and say, hey, what am I skilled at? What do I make look easy that might be a challenge for others? Because if we can get that information, if we can get those resources, know what we're working with, then we're going to be better prepared once we start figuring out what it is that we want to do. What are some of the experiences that you have? What have you gone through in 2020, 21? Maybe you've been in the industry only 6 months or 6 days, but I'm sure you have previous experience to glean from. Right. So if we want to win, we're always looking forward. We're looking at today, tomorrow, next week. Could we look at yesterday? This is why we want to go back to those previous victories, right? This is why we want to see those wins. We want to remind ourselves. What connections do you all have? Now, I will tell you, I've been doing this real estate thing for 17 years. I've seen some ups and downs. Now, more than ever, your connections are going to make or break you. So some of us, the way we win before we begin, we talk to Joe. Right? You go into the back office and you see who your title partners are. You start asking them questions. Hey, what do I need to know right now? Have any of us considered going into our affiliate partners, our preferred partners who are in insurance and saying, hey, what is the insurance landscape looking like right now? I need to know this. I want to be prepared to win the rest of this year and go into 2023. And I believe that having an intelligent conversation, being able to get the people connected together is going to be a huge deal. So what do you already have to work with is going to be part of that you assessment. Now, we're not so naive to think that all we have are strengths, right? We also have in that you assessment. And I see Virginia like, Neil, you hitting me right on the head. Now we have to ask, what have we attempted? And I know we're talking about how to win, but what have we attempted that we failed at? Right? What have we attempted that wasn't successful? Now, typically, you know these right off. Why? Because those failures, those pains, they tend to live with us a little bit longer. You all are achievers. So immediately, I'm like, what have you won at? You're like, I haven't won at anything. But you go back and you've raised a family. You've gotten in this industry. You've gotten marketing consultations, buyer agreements signed. You've gone in and closed some deals. Even if they're rentals, you've won. Right? But if I say, what have you attempted that wasn't successful? Oh, I didn't do this. And we can list 50 of those in a heartbeat. But that's not where the money, that's not where the power is. The power is, did you go back and analyze the failure? Did you go back and ask the question, well, why did I fail here? Or why was this unsuccessful? That's how we win. We win by looking at what didn't work and then just making these fine adjustments. Because here's what we know. In a couple of weeks, everyone is going to have a goal. We call it a New Year's resolution, right? Many of us, it's going to be our 7th or 8th time with the same goal, resolution. We will have failed with that goal numerous times. But this year is going to be different. No, it's not, unless we've gone back and looked to see why were we unsuccessful, right? What impact? And so after we look back and analyze the failure or the lack of success, did we go and just ask ourselves, what impact did that failure have on me? Did it make me have lower self-esteem? Did I start saying some things about myself that I typically would not say to anyone else? Because this is the hard work, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to go in and say, what do I believe about myself because of this failure? Maybe last year around this time, right? Because here's what we did. Thanksgiving holiday. Oh man, I know I need to get in shape because I couldn't fit my Thanksgiving outfit that I wanted. And you said after the holiday season, but then guess what? Memo and Bobby want to have this blowout party on the 17th, right? And now we're going to, we're going to wait until after that. Well, no, then we have Kwanzaa, and then we have this, and then Christmas, and then New Year's. But on the 2nd, I promise we're going to go. Now, I want to ask you, how does that make you feel, knowing that we have failed in the past? What impact did it have? Did you say, maybe I'm a failure? Did you come in and say, I didn't do that right last time, so therefore I am undeserving? And so after we've done the U assessment, we need to create a winning formula. And this is the winning formula. Part of it is what we're doing here today. It is motivation plus education plus application equals winning, equals success. So we have to be motivated, we have to be educated, but we have to apply the information. Right? You can be excited, educated, and do nothing. And here's the most important part. The most important part is the application part. I know people who are not as smart as you all on the call. I know people who aren't as motivated, but they just go through and do the mundane things every day. They're just consistent. You all probably know some people in your office right now that just annoy and bug the crap out of you because they're winning. And you can say, well, how can they keep winning? Because they're applying, they're going in, they're looking at the 1031 exchange video in the back office. They're going in and all of the affiliates, the preferred partners that they have, they're having conversations with them. And you're like, man, I'm smarter than she is. I know that I have a better contact list than he does, but the application is what's going to set them and you apart. So motivation plus education plus application. Do not forget the application piece of it. Here's what I'm going to encourage you all to do. I would like for all of you to change your title for the last 24 days of the year. For the last 24 days, I want Anthony to no longer be a realtor, a professional, a consultant. I want you to be an executioner. Right? Now, we think that executioner is a negative term, right? An executioner is someone who gets stuff done. Right? That's what an executioner is, right? The planning, the motivation, the education is all fine. Let me tell you what is worship. Execution is worship. Are you stuck in, maybe you can't win because you're always planning on winning, right? Maybe you can't win because you're always getting educated and just need to take another class. Here's what I'm going to tell you. The reason I win in almost every field, I just turn thoughts into actions faster, period. Some of you on this call should be doing exactly what I'm doing right now. You've had the idea, right? Maybe Memo and Bobby should be reaching out to you because you have the experience. Here's why they call me. I just execute, right? I just turn thoughts into actions faster. So for the next 24 days, be an executioner. Now, is that going to offend or rub some people the wrong way? Yes. But the fact that you woke up this morning and that you're breathing air, did that offend some people this morning? Yes. So they're going to be offended anyway. So execute. What can you execute on? And this is where we're going to go right now. What can you execute on that's going to move the lever the most? What's the small activity? All right, because here's where we go. Now we're going to get into these practical, applicable items. So we want to look back at our list of 50 things, right? And we're wrapping up our time, but this is some good stuff. We want to look back at those lists of 50 things. And then I want you to choose the top 3. What are the top 3 most important desires that you have? Now, I'm going to go out on the limb, and maybe this is the reason why I don't get invited back. However, it doesn't have to be real estate. Right? That does not have to be your number one desire. Maybe your health is more important. Maybe your finances as a whole. Maybe you need to get a will in place. I don't know. Right? Maybe you need to have a conversation with your kid to restore a relationship. But I do know that when you do those things, the most important desires, once those are in line, your business is going to improve. I know if your business improves, I know that your finances are going to get better. And here's what I do know. When your finances get better, everything is a little less stressful. Okay, so what are those top 3 desires? And here's where our execution hat for the next 24 days comes into place. We want to put the executioner hat on, and we want to wear it in everything that we do. First, let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you say you're going to do something, get it done, period. If you want to win, right? And the reason we're just now getting to this part is because, I win before I open my mouth. When I make a decision to do something, to deliver, when I say yes, that's already a victory, right? So win before we begin the day, the year, the month, the endeavor, the marketing consultation or listing presentation. You all should have won the listing presentation. You should have secured that listing before you show up at the property. How do we do that? All of the work ahead of time. Maybe you have a pre-marketing process. Did you send them a pre-marketing book? For your buyer consultation, before you met, did you send them a video, an introductory video of yourself? Hey, I'm looking forward to our consultation. Here's what we're going to cover. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me prior so I can better prepare. Right? During the marketing consultation, you've already won because mentally you've already gone through the process. What are the objections they're going to have? What are they going to be curious about? Win before you begin with buyers and sellers. Have you asked yourself the question, what's keeping them up at night? What do they care about? Right now, sellers, it used to be that sellers were worrying about leaving money on the table. Buyers were worrying about paying too much, right? Now, buyers are worried about what? Can I even afford to get a property that we're going to like because of interest? Are we going to pay too much for a property? Sellers are curious, wondering, how long am I going to stay on the market? Am I going to be able to find a qualified buyer that can actually close on the property? So let's look at those top 3 desires that we have. So as we're thinking about those top 3 desires, this is where those applicable items: motivation, education, application. What are 2 things that you can do in those top 3 desires in the next 24 hours? Now, here's what I do know. I know that if you win twice in one area in the next 24 hours, now we're motivated. We're motivated to do something. So we want to break the big goal down into these chunks. The next 24 hours, 10 days, 20 days, 90 days. What can I do in the next 24 hours to win? What win can I secure? 24 hours, 10, 20, 90. 24 hours, 10 days, 20 days, 90. I know I've repeated it. I'm telling you all the formula. It's not me. I'm not smart enough to come up with this stuff. I am smart enough to follow the rules and to have success, to be good, right? You guys have to trust me, or you can look me up. I'm good at what I do, and it's because I am consistent. I followed the instructions. So what are those wins that we can get? 24 hours, 10 days, 20 days, 90 days. If we can win the next 20 days, guess what? You're going to win the year. You're going to win 2023. We're going to have some things in place. So let me ask you, so this is how we're going to wrap up our time. We're going to look at some habits of winners. And then hopefully you have some of these habits. And if not, you all have access to Memo. You all have access to the London Foster back office. If you all are not agents, have a conversation with Memo, right? To find out, how do I get access to this so I can get these habits, so I can get the training, so I can be in an environment that values me enough to bring in trainers and to have resources available. So the first thing is, before we win the day, so everyone talks about winning the day. When does winning the day start? It starts the night before. And so oftentimes we always talk about the wake up time. When do we start our day? What time did you end the night before? Now, I'm just going to tell you, personal experience. When I stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, it's kind of hard to get up at 4:47, right? Now, when I go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock, it's much easier for me to get up and be productive. So ask yourself, do I have wake up and bedtime habits of a winner? Right? Do I have eating and exercise habits of a winner? Now, I'm not telling you have to be on any centerfold of a magazine. What I am asking you is this: Do you have the physical strength and capabilities to achieve the goals that you want? Are you fueling your body for the life that you want to have? Remember, we talked about defining success. When you look at your definition of success, physically, are you in a position to achieve? Can you live the lifestyle? If you want to travel and jet set and be on yachts, I'm not saying that you have to be in beach body shape. What I am asking, are you in physical shape? Are you taking care of yourself enough that you can deal with the rigor of travel? If not, then we don't have the habits of a winner. I mentioned earlier the first win of your day happening before 7:30. Do you know what you want your first win to be? Right? For me, I know I have a very specific wake up morning routine. If I run my routine and if I get done with my routine by 7 a.m., I'm waking up at 4:47. Don't ask me why the 4:47, just decided to do something different. Wake up at 4:47 without an alarm now. I know there's a process, there are some things. So by 7 a.m., I feel like a champion. I've done my exercise. I've done my reading. I've done my spiritual work with my devotionals and my quiet time. I've prepared the night before for today, right? Do you know what you're going to accomplish today after this call? Have you already set your day up to win, right? So we're talking about wake up and bedtime. We're talking about food and exercise. And then what is your win? For me, making my bed is not a big enough win. For you all here, maybe that's where you start. Maybe you say, I just need to make up my bed, right? Maybe for you, maybe I don't need to exercise in the morning. Maybe I just need to put on some real clothes, right? Maybe it's just get dressed. Maybe it's get out of pajamas and then check off. Celebrate when you win. Maybe your victory, maybe your celebration is a check mark. Maybe it's an X. Maybe once you have 7 wins in a row, you get a streak going. Then you say, you know what? I'm going to reward myself with 30 minutes off or a massage or something like that. I know we've heard it before. Jim Rohn would often say we need to be reminded more than we need to be instructed. I'm not giving you all anything you haven't heard. Maybe I'm just reminding. Maybe I'm just a different voice that's going to finally get you to say, I can do anything for 24 hours. I can do anything for 10 days, for 20. Once that 20 becomes 90, now all of a sudden it becomes real. Habits of winners. What are you reading? Are you reading? Now, I'm not here to be your school teacher. I'm not here to be mom or dad. But what inputs are you reading these roadmaps? Here's a perfect example. Many of us want to be millionaires. We want to be financially stable. We want to have an abundant lifestyle. But we've never looked at the map. And this is where Uncle Neil might have to share some challenging news. I'm just going to ask a question. How many of us say we want to be successful, but we've never read Think and Grow Rich? Right? And so this is something. Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie, he's responsible for 500 plus millionaires in his time. Do you want to know why the most successful read it? It's because it's a blueprint. We want to build a building of success, but we've never looked at the foundational blueprints. So if you tell me one thing and if you show me something, I'm going to be forced to believe what you show me. So if we really want to do, be, and have those things, we've got to do the hard work. Now, once again, this is not requiring us to go out and meet and handshake, requiring us to go out and market properties. This is that hard work that we have to do before we get in front of anyone else, right? So what are we reading? What are we listening to? Right? Aren't we using YouTube and IG for entertainment or for education purposes? Now, I'm not telling you not to have fun. I'm just telling you that having fun, being successful is much more enjoyable than watching someone else live their life, live their dreams. And then this is the final part of the habits of winners that I want to highlight. And I think with Bobby, with Joe, with Memo this morning, I know they mentioned Kiki and then talking about the team. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Winners have teams. And I'm not telling you to go out and that you have to start a real estate team. That's not what I'm saying. But winners have people. They have a support system. They have individuals. They have professionals, producers around them that cheer them on, that want to see them win. Right? And so that could be coaches, accountability partners. How many of us want to win, but we, one, don't know what a win is, and then we don't have someone to hold us accountable for doing what we said we're going to do? I know it's an antiquated thing. If you've been in the industry and you read all the books and you went through the role play partner and the dialogue partner and you hated that, and then your success coach or your team leader or productivity manager was like, hey, we're going to role play. I want to hold you accountable. Let's get the numbers on the big board. And you're like, nah, I don't like that. I'm going to stay away from this. I'm not going to be in the forefront. So my ask would be, do you have an accountability partner? Do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? Do you have other experts or professionals, some producers that you can go to and say, I need you to hold me accountable in this area? One of the great things that you could do, find someone either on this call or in your life after we've gone through and know what those big 3 desires are in our life. In the next 24 hours, I want you to tell 5 people, in the next 24 hours, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this done even if it kills me. Chances are, unless it's really, really wild and crazy, it's not going to kill you. Then they're going to check in and say, hey, did you get this done? Because people love holding people accountable as long as they don't have to be held accountable, right? So tell someone that you love, that you trust, someone that trusts you, someone that loves you, right? Hey, these are the goals I'm going after in the next 24 hours. This is what I want to accomplish. Please reach out to me and see if I've met it. Because what I've learned is, and what the brightest among us know, we will move heaven and earth for others when we won't move a step for ourselves, right? I want you to think about the victories that you've had, but then I also want you to think about what have you done for someone else that maybe put you at a great expense or cost you a lot, but you're willing to because you either cared about them or because you valued their opinion. You valued their perception or perspective of you and your life. So start building a community around you. Don't be afraid. We're so quick to share with strangers what we have going on in our life, our victories, our wins. What if the real win, even before we began, was to say, here's what I want to accomplish. Here's what I'm willing to put my ego to the side for, and I want you to hold me accountable. So wrapping up, believe that winning is possible. Believe that you can win. And then define what a win or success is for you. We want to perform that you assessment, the good and the bad, right? What resources do I have? Like one of the things I often say, and I just talk about health because that's one that coming up on this part of the year, everyone's going to focus on. Like, well, what do you have when it comes to the resources that you already have to help you be healthy or to win a personal goal? Maybe you already have a gym membership. Maybe you have a door to your house that goes outside and you can just walk around the block. Maybe you have that. If you do, I believe that you have the resources. Then we want to create that winning formula. We want to start looking at the motivation, the education, and more importantly, the application. And for the next 24 days, let's go ahead and put on that hat of executioner. Let's say, you know what? I am just going to outperform myself and anyone else for the next 24 days. If you would go through and execute for the next 24 days, you're going to be in rare air. The company that you're going to keep, the people who are closest to you, they're going to see a shift in how you operate. Maybe as you're going through and you're executing, you see some things that haven't worked that no longer should be a part of your life or your business or your environment. Not telling you to go through and clean house relationally, physically, any of that. What I am asking you to do when you do that assessment, say, well, what would an executioner look like? How would their work environment be set up? What would their vehicle look like? If I'm an executioner, someone who gets stuff done, what would it look like when the way I ate or when I went to sleep, right? Let's look back at our list after we've gotten that winning formula and say, what can I do in the next 24 hours? What can I do in the next 10 and 20 days? Because if we can find those small wins, those small victories, then we're going to set ourselves up to win in the long term. And then finally, find your team. I believe that Memo and Bobby have built a team here that wants you to succeed, right? They go through great lengths to make it possible for you to see what a victory is. They go to great lengths for you to be able to experience wins, right? Early on in your career, if you're new, if you've been in for a while, they want to see you continue to win. And they're encouraging you to bring friends along so you're not here by yourself. So as you're thinking about, well, who do I have in my life? Who are my coaches? Who are my accountability partners, my mentors? Who are those affiliate partners or those preferred affiliates that's going to really help me and want to see me succeed in everything I do? And then it's all about the application. Ladies and gentlemen, today is going to be a chance. Today is a chance for you to win before you begin. We've got to do the hard work here. We've got to say, all right, I'm going to execute. I've got to think, what do I want the rest of this week? What do I want the rest of this month, next year to look like? What do I really care about? What do I value? Now, I know there are a lot of cliche ways to say that. What's my why? What's the one thing? All of that. I know that, but it really is, when we go back to the science, when we go back to those things that we as human beings don't even understand, that's where the difference lies. So I just want to thank Memo. I want to thank Bobby. I want to thank all of you for allowing me to come here and just do this thing with you all, because this is, right, when we talk about a win, how do I win? My definition is doing what I want, when I want, with who I want, for as long as I want. This is a win for me, right? Because I'm doing what I love with who I want to, when I want to. So I'm going to encourage all of you to have some fire, to be optimistic in this market, in this industry. I know none of us have crystal balls. None of us know what's going to happen. But I do know that even in this market that we're going into, even if there is a recession, there are going to be winners and there are going to be people who had wished they won, right? What's the difference? If someone is going to win in this upcoming year over the next 10 days, it might as well be us. But I do want you to make sure that you know what a true win is. Don't chase the wrong things. You know, one of my mentors said that he realized later in life that there were some things that he had paid too great a cost for. And that's because he did not assess early on. He did not define what a win is. So all of us can win before we begin our day, our week, our any endeavor, if we do the hard work, think first, do the U assessment, start thinking about some previous victories, and then figure out what we already have that can help us get to where we want. I thank you all.